Hello everybody, John12 back here again with another video, and I'm here to give you my official Dragon Ball Super Episode 12 review. If you've not seen this episode, please go check it out, because this review may contain spoilers. But that being said, let's get into Dragon Ball Super. Obviously, it's the continuation of the Battle of Gods, Goku versus Beerus, and God versus God. It's just going crazy, and I had a lot of expectations for this episode, because, based off the ending of last week's episode, we kind of got the insight that this was a fight that was officially going to really get down. Beerus was getting extremely tired and just felt that the whole fight with Goku was tedious, and at the end of the episode, you kind of get the idea that now that Goku is really starting to ascend into godlyhood, and now is truly exploring the full extent of Super Saiyan God power, that this fight would finally get down and dirty, and we finally get like these clashings and these amazing battles in space of all places, which is really freaking cool, seeing as how we've never really had on Dragon Ball Z a real epic battle in space. No character has really destroyed the shit out of another character in space before, we've seen characters go into space, and we've seen character blow shit up in space, but we've never seen a battle take place in, outside of Earth. So it's really cool to see that go down. Unfortunately, the really hardcore cool stuff only happens in the last 10 minutes of the freaking episode, so that's kind of like where I'm coming from. I don't know how disappointed I can really get, but this episode really felt it's like, the best way I can explain it is that this episode 12, is the most Dragon Ball-y kind of episode, but it's also, at the same time, to contradict that statement, the most non-Dragon Ball episode ever. And what I mean by that is that there's a lot of elements that go into this episode that make no sense at all, and really just, you could have done without. And then there's a lot of things in it where it's like, now that's really a Dragon Ball Z kind of a moment. And what I mean by that is that this episode is one of those classic kind of, moments in any kind of Dragon Ball episode, which I knew was going to happen sooner or later, which is, the episode is nothing but power-ups and yelling. Which, to a certain fan, may not mean anything, because, you deal with that on a regular basis. You learn to love these kind of aspects when you're a Dragon Ball Z fan. I'm just saying, if you're a Dragon Ball Z fan, you have to deal with the occasional episode that's nothing but yelling and power-ups. And maybe the occasional punch that leads to nowhere. And then you have to wait and see the next episode when the shit actually goes down. So that's essentially what you have to deal with, and that's what this episode is. However, the animators, or at least, in my opinion, whoever, directed or animated this episode, you could tell they really had no idea what they were doing, or really where they were going, because it felt like they didn't know what they were going with this episode. It's like they just went on YouTube and just typed in Dragon Ball Z moments or whatever, and, looked at, some kind of assholes YouTubers fucking 5-minute montage of what Dragon Ball Z means to them or something, and then that's what they based the fucking episode on. It just felt very un-Dragon Ball-like. And what I mean by that is, the battle with Goku and Beerus was bound to get this far where there would be some collateral damage. It makes sense. They're gods now, they're using their full powers, it may seem, at this point in time. We don't know. Maybe Beerus is even more powerful. We don't know. If you've seen the movie, obviously Beerus is, 1,000 times stronger than Goku, but on the show, they're kind of making it feel like they're on par. But regardless of any of that, on the show, there's collateral damage. The Earth is starting to, every time Goku and Beerus punch each other, there's these really, which is an interesting, cool thing that I like, but it's also kind of like a double-edged sword, because it's because of the sound waves and vibrations and the shock waves of the battle that Goku and Beerus are having outside of Earth, it's starting to affect not only Earth, but the universe as a whole. The Kais are obviously trying to stop Beerus and Goku from fighting, because the shock waves and vibrations and sound waves are starting to affect, moons and meteorites, and the Earth and other planets are starting to get destroyed. And I like those elements. but at the same time I don't, because it just doesn't make sense to me that Goku would allow this fight to continue when there are planets being destroyed in the process of their fight. Now, granted, it's a fight that Goku can't stop right off the bat. He's dealing with a character that's far more powerful than him, who's a god, and his job is to destroy planets. And Goku doesn't want to end this fight because he's Goku. He's going to want to continue this fight as long as he can, because that's what he does. But however, I just felt it was just very odd, at least to me as a hardcore fan, where it's like it just felt very un-Goku, and it felt very un-Dragon Ball-like. It just felt like he was just fighting. The fight felt selfish, in my opinion, which I don't really like, because in the prior episodes, the fight means something, because Goku is trying to stop Beerus from destroying the planet. However, in this episode, it kind of makes it feel like that doesn't matter anymore. The only thing that matters is this fight, you and me, and we need to know who's going to win, who is more powerful than the other. We need to figure this shit out now. That's what it kind of comes off as, and I hate that idea. It's just that, I get it. It's cool, they're fighting in space, they're flying around, they're kicking each other's asses, they're fucking powering up and yelling. It's cool, awesome, vibrations, or, it's the fight that's being heard across the universe. That's awesome, that's cool, I love that idea, but the execution, I feel like, is where it gets lost. I'm just saying, Goku, he knows, he puts people's lives over himself. However, in this episode, it feels like he doesn't care. Unless that planet that got, the planets, that were destroyed, belonged to nobody, if there were, no freaking existence or species on that planet, then sure, why not? Fuck it, who cares? They got destroyed, what are you gonna do? No one's on it, no one got hurt, okay. However, you just don't know. It's just, you have to suspend disbelief, and I just don't want to. In and of itself, it just angers me. So, I don't know. For me, personally, the fight in this episode pissed me the hell off. I didn't like how, the creators or directors in this episode really approached this episode. I felt that the idea of, the universe being, destroyed in the process of these two gods fully powered fighting each other is cool. However, what are the repercussions of this collateral damage? What's going to happen? Because we already know Dragon Ball, it's, it's kid-friendly. It's still meant for kids. It's, family-friendly. So what's the outcome? Because for anybody who's listening, if you've not seen Dragon Ball Super Chapter 4 of the manga, which recently came out, which, was kind of, really rushed kind of a chapter. However, if you go, spoilers, if you've not seen it, the fight kind of ends, and it's whatever, here's this information, blah, 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 whatever, bye, they leave, and it's done. That's the end of the fight. It's a terrible ending, but it kind of gives me a fear. It's okay, well, what's the ending of this fight going to mean at the end of this episode? At the end of this, series, if you will, this season, if you will. It's just, I don't really know. It's just, you can't use the Dragon Balls to wish back everything all the time, It just, there has to be some kind of repercussions for this much destruction. And also, regardless of suspending the disbelief of, this universe, isn't it kind of weird that, okay, this battle and this, the sound waves and the destruction is affecting the universe, however, it has, zero effect on the Earth, and they're, outside of it. How is it the Earth didn't just explode after the second Beerus and Goku just punched each other? It just makes no sense. I feel like they should have just went into deep space. I felt like this would have been a superior move on Toei Animation's part, to really go out there. Just go out to deep space where there's no repercussions that can happen. Just go into some kind of weird black hole with some kind of vacuum in space and just fight there. Why fight somewhere where there could be some serious damage to the universe that you're freaking living in? I don't know. It kind of pissed me off. I don't know why. It just does. I know it's you're not meant to specifically think that far ahead, but it just really bothered me. I'm just saying I wasn't a big fan of this episode for those reasons. However, there were cool things about the episode, like the fight was interesting. I also really liked the weird kind of like Hercule moments where like the city is like being destroyed because of the fight between Goku and Beerus, and like they're trying to get Hercule on the line, and that was pretty hysterical. Also, I liked the last, power struggle between Goku and Beerus with the Kamehameha wave and Beerus's, like atom bomb or whatever the hell you call it. I don't know. However, there were a lot of things that I just didn't like in this episode. I didn't like the whole Goku versus Beerus thing, that, the collateral damage, the lack of, actual interest, Goku, like, not noticing these type of things. The execution was just terrible. I also didn't like the whole Vegeta and Whis thing. Like, I remember getting so many comments from people like, because it was a big deal for me that really pissed me off last week, where it's like, how is it possible Vegeta is seeing this whole thing when he's not a god and he has no god ki? You can't sense god ki. A lot of people were like making the excuse of like, oh, well, maybe Whis is going to tell him like, oh, you're a god too. It's like, well, that didn't happen. Whis didn't explain shit. And that's another thing that kind of pissed me off. Why does Whis care so much about everybody? I just don't get it. It's just that Whis is a superior extraterrestrial being. We don't even know what he is. Is he a god, or is he like a meta god? Who the fuck knows? He's something that's superior to Lord Beerus, who is already an ultra-powered god. Why does he care about everyone so much? Like, he interacts with the Earthlings, like the main characters, way too much, which makes no sense. I liked it in the movie where it's like he didn't really give a shit what happened. He was just eating food and was like, oh, cool, I want to try this fish or whatever. I like that more, those moments more. Like him interacting with Vegeta and Hercule and the Pilaf gang and the rest of the people. It just made no sense. It just makes no sense, rather. And I just wasn't into it. I don't know. There's just a lot of things in this episode that I feel like in the boardroom of animating and directing this episode, no one really thought it would be a big deal. But to me, it is. It just is a big deal. And plus, another thing that really aggravated me is like, what was with the Ki Dragons? Come on. Does anybody really like that shit? Was anybody, like, I want to hear someone who actually liked that. Like, where does it make sense with the Ki Dragons? I don't know. Don't get me wrong, when I first saw the dragons, I was like, okay, cool. It's like, oh shit, when you're a god, you can be like Green Lantern and like create constructs with your fucking mind. That would be cool. That would be an idea. Like, once again, the idea is good. The execution sucks. So, like, when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's really cool. It kind of reminded me, like, if anybody ever saw the movie Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, which is an awesome Edgar Wright movie if you've not seen. It kind of reminded me of that moment where, like, the two bands are battling and they, like, with their musical instruments, they, like, create these cool constructs. Like, the two DJ guys create, like, these dragons, and, Scott and his band create, like, this giant gorilla, and they battle each other with their music. Pretty awesome moment in the movie. In the episode, I thought the same thing was going to happen. I felt like they were going to like do something like that where, okay, they created these dragons out of their ki, and now they're going to battle each other with the dragons. It's like, that would have been a cooler idea to really do. Like, I feel like the ideas just get lost in the execution. And then it just, okay, let's just, and this is where my statement comes in. It's like very un-Dragon Ball, where it's just, we're in the history where we get to see these dragons come in, and then they come back into their bodies, and then they're powered up fully. Now it's time to fight. I mean, like, granted, there's Dragon Fist, but that's fucking Dragon Fist. It's not even real. It's just a figment of your imagination that you're seeing. He's actually just shooting out into your body. There's not actually a dragon there, However, in the show, it's just like, those are actual dragons that are leaving their bodies and then, forming with their ki, and then they come back and they're powered up. I don't know what the hell they were thinking with this idea, but it was dog shit stupid. At the end of the day, Dragon Ball Super Episode 12, there was a lot of things that are good. The fight was cool. It was interesting to watch. Animation, artwork, really good, thank God. The comedic moments with, the Satan City and freaking Hercule talking, about, like, saving the city because of the destruction. Really cool moments. The fact that the Kais were so involved with Goku Beerus' fight really funny and interesting to watch, especially, Old Kai's, perverted moments, really funny and interesting. And also I like the fact that there were these sound waves that were like starting to affect the universe. I like the idea, and I like the idea of like there was like serious collateral damage, except that I just didn't like the execution of it, and I don't like the idea of like Goku like unnoticing these type of things. And also I don't like the idea of like when this fight is over, whenever that is, maybe next week or the week after that, or maybe a month from now, who the fuck knows, but whenever it's over, like, is there really going to be like any fixing of this problem? Like, this whole fight just like destroy, and like based off the teasers of next week, this fight had serious damage towards the Earth as a whole, and like you also destroyed multiple other planets in the process of this fight. So, do you answer these type of things? I mean, granted, Beerus doesn't care because he's, Lord of Destruction, but Goku still has a heart at the end of the day, and he's still like the main character and hero of the story. So I don't know. It's just a lot of weird things that it's just, I feel like in the boardroom of Toei Animation and whoever was directing this episode and writing this episode, they should have just thought things a little bit more clearly. They didn't. They kind of just went on, just like, another Goku vs. Beerus episode. Let's half-ass this shit. At least the animation looks cool, huh? It's like, I'm not here to watch cool-looking colors. I'm here for the story. Because at the end of the day, Dragon Ball is cool, interesting, and fun, and like, if everyone just wants to see a cool fight, then kudos to you, but I've been a hardcore fan since the 90s. I've been here because of the source material, the story. And if you're not going to give me a good story, then why am I here at all? So that's kind of where I'm coming from with the episode. I'm probably like overreacting to the whole thing and over-exaggerating the whole, the whole episode, but in just my overall standing, this episode was a major disappointment in ways that I don't think a lot of people are really considering. But overall, that's just my overall idea. At the end, my final verdict and rating for this episode has to be a 5 out of 10. It's just average. It's just okay. Like, the animation is cool. The comedy is funny. The actual, fighting moments is cool. The sound waves and, barriers and fucking, destruction was cool. It's just, I just feel like everything that happened in this episode, the ideas were cool, just the execution of the ideas just get lost in the episode, and it just comes off as looking bad, at least in my eyes. But that's pretty much my overall thoughts. I can't wait to see next week's episode. Hopefully the fight's finally over, because I'm just saying, like, you have to realize this. After this fucking arc, we're going right into Resurrection F. So I just want this fucking to speed up as quickly as possible, because I just want to, like, okay, now Frieza, alright, bye Frieza, Universe 6! Say it with me, Universe 6! That's where I'm going. I want to see that shit. I want to see that story. Not the stories I've seen already. No, the story I haven't seen, Universe 6. That's what I'm waiting for. Resurrection F, which is the next arc after this, I'm interested to see how they change shit, because we already know some shit's gonna get changed, because they're gonna incorporate maybe Dragon Balls and Champa or whoever the fuck. But Universe 6, that's what I'm waiting for. But at the end of the day, comment below. Let me know what you personally think about Episode 12. I personally didn't like it. I felt it was a major disappointment for me as a fan. But as a watcher, I can understand why it's a very enjoyable, watchable episode. But at the end of the day, for me, I wasn't a big fan of this episode. But let me know what you personally think in the comment section below. What did you think about destruction of planets that Goku apparently didn't care about? What did you think about the key dragons that, don't do anything? And, all the comedic moments with Old Kai's perverted magazines and porn. Let me know in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram if you've not done so already. And of course, subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already. And I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and let me know your personal thoughts in the comments below. This has been Josh12.